It's March 6th, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have a ship rolling over before anyone could escape, a hidden bomb lab tearing apart a city block, and a legendary sniper left hovering between life and death. Let's begin. On March 6th, 1987, the roll-on, roll-off ferry, the Herald, a free enterprise, quietly pulled away from a harbor in Belgium. Passengers were settling in, some eating breakfast, but something was terribly wrong. Unseen by most on board, the ship's massive bow doors, the doors that seal the vehicle deck from the sea, had never been closed. The crewman responsible for shutting them had fallen asleep, and on the bridge, there was no indicator to warn the captain that they were still open. Just minutes after leaving port, seawater began pouring into the car deck. Then it happened. In barely 90 seconds, the ferry suddenly lurched and rolled violently to its side. Passengers were thrown across dining rooms, hallways, as freezing water rushed inside. Lights went out, furniture slid across the floor, and some survivors would later describe crawling through overturned corridors in total darkness, while the icy water climbed higher around them. Outside, rescuers soon found the ferry lying on its side in the harbor. The ship had capsized in shallow water, so it never fully sank. The depth allowed for many trapped passengers to survive long enough to be rescued. Still, 193 people lost their lives that morning, victims of a disaster caused by a door left open at sea. On March 6, 1970, a quiet brownstone townhouse sat along West 11th Street in Greenwich Village, New York. From outside, it looked like any other home on the block. However, inside, something far more dangerous was taking shape. Hidden behind the ordinary walls, members of a radical underground group were assembling bombs. Investigators would later discover that the devices were packed with dynamite filled with hundreds of nails designed to tear through crowds like shrapnel. The bombs were reportedly intended for a military dance at Fort Dix, part of a violent protest against the Vietnam War, but that plan never reached its target. Shortly before noon, the townhouse suddenly erupted in a massive explosion. Windows shattered across the neighborhood as the entire building collapsed in seconds. Smoke and debris filled the street where the house had stood only moments earlier. All three bomb makers were killed instantly in the blast. When the investigation searched the wreckage, the truth slowly emerged. This quiet New York home had secretly been a bomb factory. The explosion didn't just destroy the building, it exposed a secret network of radical underground activity that had been operating across the country, unfolding in the middle of an ordinary city block. On March 6, 1940, deep in the frozen forests of Finland, the wintertime war was nearing its brutal end. Temperatures hovered far below freezing, and snow blanketed the battlefield. Moving silently through the white wilderness was one of the most feared soldiers of the war. His name was Simo Häyhä, and Soviet troops had given him the nickname the White Death. Blending into snow with white camouflage, he had already become a legend among Finnish defenders. In just a few months of fighting, he had reportedly eliminated over 500 enemy soldiers, making him one of the most deadliest snipers in military history. But then, the hunter suddenly became the target. A Soviet soldier fired an explosive bullet that struck him directly in the face. The blast shattered his jaw and tore away much of his lower face. When the Finnish soldiers finally found him, he was barely alive, lying in the snow, his face half destroyed. He slipped into a coma, and for 11 days he hovered between life and death. On March 13th, the very day peace was declared between Finland and the Soviet Union, he woke up. He had survived. After 26 surgeries and years of recovery, the man once feared across the battlefield lived quietly in a farm for decades. The strange coincidence of his recovery still fascinates historians. He woke up from his coma the very day the war ended. After surviving the battlefield, he went on to live more than 60 years in a quiet life of obscurity. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.